Iran stands today on the edge of an unfolding catastrophe, a catastrophe created drop by drop, year by year, until the final result has become a national emergency that millions can feel in their homes, in their streets, and deep within their future. This is the story of a country where water, once the foundation of ancient civilization, has now become one of the most scarce and politically explosive resources in the region. Zero drops left is not just a phrase, it is the lived reality of cities where taps run dry for days, villages where people walk kilometers for a single bucket, and farmland where cracks in the earth run deeper with every passing season. This crisis has grown so large that it threatens not only the environment, but the stability of the country itself. For decades, Iran relied on rivers, reservoirs, and deep underground aquifers that had sustained communities since the days of the Persian Empire. But climate patterns shifted, droughts became more extreme, and decades of mismanagement pushed these resources beyond recovery. Today, more than 70% of Iran's water basins are at critical depletion levels, and millions of citizens face water rationing that barely covers drinking and cooking needs. In some regions, pipes that once carried life now lie rusted over cracked earth, echoing a silent warning: when water disappears, so does stability, economy, and human security. The story becomes even more alarming when you step into the cities. Tehran, a city of more than 10 million people, now faces water shortages more severe than any previous generation has experienced. Infrastructure, designed half a century ago, is collapsing under modern population pressures. When water supply drops, the entire system begins to fail. Pumps break, pipes burst, and reservoirs run below emergency levels. As temperatures rise above 45 degrees C in summer months, the demand becomes impossible to meet. Heat waves intensify evaporation. Losses in the system grow even faster than authorities can manage. The crisis is no longer seasonal, it is structural, permanent, and accelerating. Villages have suffered worst of all. Over 1,000 rural communities have already been fully evacuated in the last decade because their wells dried up completely. In some areas of Sistan Balochistan, families stand in long lines waiting for tankers driven from other provinces. The desperation is palpable. Children walk with plastic jerrycans. Elderly people try to ration what is left. When the tankers arrive late or run out, anger erupts, arguments break out, crowds gather, and the tension becomes visible. What used to be a natural resource is now a spark in a national powder keg. Agriculture, once the backbone of Iran's economy, has also been hit with devastating force. Wheat, pistachios, rice, fruits, vegetables, entire staple crops are shrinking. Farmers who once produced for whole communities now struggle to irrigate even a small portion of their land. The soil turns to dust, livestock die from dehydration, and farmers migrate to cities where life is no easier. This agricultural collapse adds to rising food prices, unemployment, and internal displacement. Every dry field is a reminder that environmental collapse leads directly to economic collapse. But the crisis is not only about nature, it is also political. Many critics argue that decades of poor planning, over-extraction, outdated dam projects, and unsustainable agricultural policies contributed heavily to the disaster. Iran built more than 600 dams in a short period, some in regions never meant for large-scale water storage. These dams redirected rivers, disrupted ecosystems, and took water away from many regions while benefiting only a few. At the same time, groundwater extraction intensified. Farmers drilled deeper wells, then deeper, until the aquifers collapse. Once an aquifer collapses, it can never refill. It becomes permanently dead. Iran has lost dozens of them. The human side of the crisis is heart-wrenching. Families argue not about politics or economy, but about when their taps will open next, whether they should leave their homes forever, and how they will raise their children in a place where water has become a luxury. Schools in several provinces have temporary closures when tankers cannot supply enough water to keep bathrooms functioning. Hospitals struggle to maintain sanitation levels. Some prisons even face water restrictions that create extremely dangerous health conditions. The crisis does not target one group. It affects everyone. Then there is the unrest. When people have no water, they protest. Peaceful demonstrations often turn into clashes when residents accuse local authorities of corruption, mismanagement, or hiding the true severity of the crisis. Videos circulate online showing angry crowds surrounding government buildings, blocking roads, shouting for immediate action. Water scarcity becomes not just an environmental issue, but a political and social flashpoint with unpredictable consequences. Experts warn that what Iran is facing is not a drought. It is a long-term water collapse. Rainfall patterns have shifted permanently. Snowfall in the mountains, which once acted as a natural water bank, has drastically decreased. The rivers feeding major reservoirs no longer provide enough flow to sustain the population. Climate change has accelerated everything. Higher temperatures increase evaporation, storms become less frequent, and when rainfall does happen, it often comes in dangerous floods that do not refill reservoirs. It's a vicious cycle. Water disappears, soil dries, heat increases, and the cycle repeats. But amid the darkness, there are solutions if they are implemented urgently. Iran needs modern water recycling systems, desalination infrastructure along the Persian Gulf, upgraded irrigation methods, and strict regulation of water-intensive crops. It needs to reduce leakage in urban pipelines, promote water-saving technologies, and reform agricultural policies so farmers can survive without over-extracting groundwater. But these solutions require billions of dollars, political stability, and time. Three things Iran currently struggles to balance. For the ordinary Iranian citizen, these debates mean little when the faucet still turns on with nothing but air. For families in Yazd, Zanjan, Shiraz, Isfahan, and Mashhad, the crisis is personal. It shapes daily routines, creates fear, forces migration, and affects dignity. People who once lived normal lives now live with buckets lined up in their kitchens, saving every drop as if it were gold. And in truth it is. In a future where water scarcity becomes global, Iran is merely the first major warning to the world. As the crisis worsens, the psychological impact deepens too. Anxiety grows. People fear the next summer. They fear that their children will inherit a country where survival depends on water lines, ration cards, and tanker trucks. Social media fills with videos showing empty canals, dry lakes, dying orchards, and abandoned villages. Each image becomes part of a larger narrative, one that says time is running out. 0 drops left is not a metaphor. It is reality in multiple regions where the last functioning wells have already run dry. This is a humanitarian emergency unfolding in slow motion, but gathering speed with every season. The world is watching, analysts are warning, and scientists are calling it one of the most serious water failures on the planet. Iran stands at a turning point. Will it adapt, rebuild, and innovate, or will this crisis push the nation toward deeper instability? Only time will tell, but what is certain today is this: when the last drop disappears, everything else begins to fall apart. Iran's most dangerous water failure is not coming, it is already here.